standard Czech immigration and everything related to that. So finding accommodation in the Czech Republic, getting a visa, residence permit renewals, citizenship, permanent residency, finding accommodation, getting health insurance, starting a business, or just generally living and chilling in the Czech Republic, regardless of where you are from. So welcome guys, thank you very much for joining the live stream or for watching the recording. You know the drill, this is an open live stream Q&As, so type your questions into the chat and I'll be happy or sad to answer them, depends on the question. And if you're wondering, Arvinda for example, hello, this is water. It's a super fancy water, which is no sugar and like a cherry taste. So that's a great combination because sometimes I have days where I just cannot drink water, like a still water from like the tap or from the whatever it's called we have here, like the machine for water. So I need to drink, I want to drink water, but I cannot drink the water we have around me. So I buy these kind of things and drink that. That's not like I don't have any commission or sales or anything. It's just like it happened that I have it here with me and it smells like a cherry. It tastes like a cherry, but it's a real cherry. There is no sugar. So that's great. Anyway. Ahoj Arvindo, jak se máš ty? Já se mám výborně, jak můžeš vidět, mám se skvěle tady se svojí vodou. Yeah, I'm great chilling with my water, chilling with all of you guys, so let's start with the questions. Osama Bose. I will be applying for my residence permit in July. I have a long-term visa now under study condition. If I get full-time job, can I provide my contract and the last 2 months income from work instead of the bank account of 120K? If you have free access to the Czech labor market, then yes. You can potentially provide either the proof of funds, which would be the 120,000 crowns in your account, or the proof of income. But then it's kind of tricky with the proof of income because A, you need to be like certain that you can work. Second, you must be certain that you'll keep the job and that you, if it's like 2 months income and then the third month you leave or you're kicked out, that could potentially be a problem. So if you can do the 120K in your account, that will probably be simpler, but potentially you can use the income as well. Wasim Yahuni, hi, is it true that Czech language is so hard to learn? Well, I think it's complete nonsense because I started speaking when I was 2.5, so it cannot be that hard. I have no idea when I started speaking. Well, they say that it's one of the most complicated languages, but I think all these things, like all these sayings, have some part of true. Like, okay, the grammar might be a bit more complicated than German and way more complicated than English, for example. On the other hand, it's all just about effort. You know, like the basic requirement to get a PR, or there are two requirements, let's say. First is being here for at least 5 years. Second, speaking at least A2 level of Czech. And honestly, if you've been here for 5 years and you don't speak at least A2 Czech, you haven't done the work. So, you know, if you live somewhere for 5 years and you really try to learn the language, there's no way, unless you're like completely mentally disabled, that you cannot learn new languages at all or you cannot speak at all. Then I'm not like making fun of that. It's just, if that's the case, okay. But if you're like a normally intelligent person, 5 years is long enough to speak A2 level of Czech. So it's just, it wasn't your priority or you just didn't want to learn. That's the only reason if you don't speak, in my opinion. So it is, or it might be complicated, more complicated than some other languages, but I don't think it's like that complicated if you really dedicate the time and effort to that. Hasibul Hussain, do you have any recruiting agency or can you refer to any agency who helps foreign workers to get a job visa? Well, not really, because most of the agencies are scammers and you will pay them like 3,000, 4,000 euros and you will never get to the Czech Republic anyway. So I would definitely recommend, like, before you pay anyone for a work permit or a work contract or whatever, like, first of all, find out if you can even apply, which in most countries is basically impossible. And then if you can at least apply, then make sure that all the documents you get will be valid and that the agency will also help you get the appointment. If they tell you, no, you need to get the appointment yourself, you have high chances that it's a scam. So I would be careful with that, and we don't recommend anyone like that because we don't do such things. So no, I cannot recommend anyone, and I would definitely like think twice about finding someone like that. Andy Lelong, it's been 63 days that my student visa is still being processed. What does it mean? I'm sorry, it's just, it makes me laugh every time because, guys, you probably have some idea in your head that like the law in the Czech Republic, the immigration law in the Czech Republic is actually followed by the Ministry of the Interior, which is not the case. You know, if they have 60 days, it's kind of like a recommendation they should follow. Of course not, like by the law they should make the decision within the 60 days, but in real life they don't. It can take, even if they have 60 days to make the decision about the student visa or the student residence permit, they can take 6 years or 6 months or like 75 days or 17 days. You never know, it doesn't need to mean anything, it's just like how they work. So unfortunately, like the legal deadlines do not really mean anything. Arvinda, Jan, please tell me how the case number of work permits looks like. For example, I don't really know what you mean by work permit. I think we've talked about this the last time. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Tell me. Because there is an application number for an employee card. If you've already submitted your employee card application at the Czech embassy, that there are two types of application number. If you're talking about just some like work permission or permission to work from the labor office or work permit or employment contract, there is not really an application number you should be interested in. So please specify, but most likely there is nothing I can give you in this regards because there is nothing like that. But feel free to elaborate. Maybe we'll get to somewhere. Osama Habos, I have a long-term visa for an credited program here at ČZU. And what if I want to convert my visa to employee card? Would it make problem and they might deny my application since I came as a student? That's actually a good question, and I've talked about it a million times, and I've done a video about that as well. So if you're interested in that topic, go somewhere to my channel. I don't know where you have to click and find the video, like changing the purpose of your stay, and check it out. Because yes, if you came here as a student, you should first finish your studies and then think about some changes. Technically, by the law, you can switch from a student to an employee card anytime, no problem with that. But the problem is that people, and especially from India and the countries around there, started going this route, that because there are quotas for employee cards, so they cannot really, Indians cannot really apply for employee cards unless their employer is registered in a special program. So they started going this way, that they come here as students because it's still possible to get a student visa, and then they immediately convert to something else like the employee card. And obviously this will only work for a certain amount of time, and now it's the time when it's actually ending. So by doing this, you're actually destroying the whole student visa situation, and all the people coming after you here as students will have it 3 times more difficult than you had it. And at some point, there might be even ban for people to come here to study because of these kind of practices. You came here as a student, and as a student, you can work as well. So there is no reason for you to switch to an employee card. And if you do that and you abandon your studies, then the ministry will react. So I'm not saying it will influence your residence permit if it's done properly. It can still, you can make a lot of mistakes there. Like for example, applying for the non-dual employee card, even though then you finish studies. So that's not the correct way to go, but you will mainly spoil the whole visa situation to all the other people coming after you. Dragan Bogdanovic, if there is an error in my visa application, do the immigration police who process the application inform me directly or the embassy? It depends on what you mean, because first, by visa application, do you mean like a visa application, like long-term visa application, or a residence permit application? What purpose of stay? Immigration police does not really do anything with any applications. They just check for illegals already being in the Czech Republic. All the decisions are made by the Ministry of the Interior. And then it also depends on where you applied. So this is a very general question without proper, like using proper terms. So I can hardly answer it specifically because it's just the situation you described doesn't exist. Immigration police doesn't do anything with visa applications. But generally speaking, if you applied at the embassy, you will always hear from the embassy. But the embassy does not make the decision, so the embassy will only let you know if they are informed about that by the Ministry of the Interior. So you as an applicant should always hear from the embassy first, but the embassy will only give you the information that they were given by the Ministry of the Interior. But this can be a bit different for visas and residence permit, for different purposes of stay, different embassies, different situations. So this is just like a very general answer. Mutabazi patients, hello. Hello? Why is there a question here behind hello? Anyway, with 90 days work visa in Czech, can I be able to apply for residence permit, or is it possible for me to look for another job before my 90 days visa finish? Okay, another person who got scammed, most likely, congratulations. Not mocking that, it's just like I've been doing like 500 videos like this in the last 3 years, maybe more. And always people ask the same question. The problem is you cannot switch to anything other than a blue card from from a short-term visa, you cannot switch to anything. So if it's like 90 days visa, which is a short-term visa, you cannot really switch to anything. You always need to go back and apply from the country of origin. If you had a long-term seasonal visa, you could potentially, or seasonal work visa, you could potentially switch, but only to a blue card, which requires at least bachelor's degree and let's say at least 70,000 crowns gross salary monthly. Which is not really realistic for you to get if you came here to like work in a forest as a seasonal worker. So unfortunately, kind of contrary to whoever promised to you, you cannot switch to anything, unfortunately, from a short-term visa. Wasim Yahuni, could you please tell us what is the price of health insurance for student visa, 12 months? It depends on your age, it depends on the insurance company, and it depends on the season, because these like factors influence the price, and basically the prices are changed every month, sometimes even like more often, and like say there are 7 different companies, so basically the prices can change a couple times a month. The best is when you get approved, get in touch with us, send us your date of birth and the validity of the insurance you need, and we'll send you the best available options at that time, and you can even do it through us and get a free immigration consultation with every health insurance plan you get. Just to give you an idea, for students, generally, I would say you'll be somewhere between or somewhere around 17,000 crowns a year. But we've had plans that started at 11,000 crowns for a year. But that only happens like maybe once a year, let's say more towards the main season of students. So like August, September, October, when the insurance companies like compete for clients. Now they don't care that much, so now the prices might be a bit higher, but closer we get to September, they should go back to a bit lower. So it depends on when you get approved. Definitely get in touch and we'll be happy to send you the most recent prices. Arvinda, permission to work in the Czech Republic. To apply for seasonal work, I need work permit or case number of my work permit. I want to know how does case number, like example, blah, blah, blah. I don't really know. I don't really think that there is any number like that because first of all, we don't really do seasonal work visas and we don't do them because in my opinion, it's the biggest scam in the Czech immigration. So we don't really do that. And I cannot imagine why would you need like track a number, because the permission to work either exists or it doesn't. There is no application number you would be needing for anything. How it works is that whoever got it for you needed some of your documents, then they submitted the application to the labor office, and then they either got the document you need or not. If they got it, okay, the document might have some number, but that's not an application number. If they didn't get it, then any application number will not be of any use to you because you don't have the document you need. So for the permission to work, I'm not aware of any number you could get. Hi Jan, no question today, just a big thank you for your constant help and support. My pleasure, thank you very much for joining, even without having questions. Devendra Mahajan, mispronouncing, sorry guys. Hayan, how many days after we'll get the ZM type visa in Dresden embassy? If you mean an employee card and how long after the submission, I talked about it a couple minutes ago. Officially, the ministry has 60 to 90 days to make the decision. In real life, it can be anything from 2 weeks to forever. And it's not like really exaggeration. Forever maybe is. There is usually some time limit. But most likely a month to 4 to 6 months. It depends. The ministry does not really care. They don't care about your application. They don't care about your friend's application. They just work on their own pace. And whenever they make the decision, they make the decision. And the whenever part depends on the decision maker. Some decision makers are more efficient. They can do like more applications. They can check everything more like swiftly. Some of them will like even forget about your application. It will be laying somewhere like on the shelf and they will like forget about it. It's very hard to say. Like I would love to give you like some concrete date. Okay, so like it will be 35 days. But it can be like 14 days for you, but for a person who applied on the same date at the same embassy for the same type of employee card can be 3 months. And really, we've tested this. We had a couple people who applied exactly for the same thing on the same day at the same place, and their processes went completely differently. So unfortunately, there is no like answer. It will be like 45 days. I can give you the official timelines, which is 60 to 90 days. So that's what you should plan for. But in real life, it can be anything, literally. Mehmet Kenan Usta. Hello, I lived here 4 years with student visa and then I applied the partnership visa 6 months ago and it's approved now when I'm able to apply for PR. Well, if it's a partnership visa, meaning that you're not married, then the same rules apply as they apply for a standard PR. There will be no like difference in the duration. So 4 years as student will count as 2 years, and that will be the same until you get the partnership visa, because the bridging visas are based on your previous residence permit. So everything until you get the partnership will be counted as half, and then from the partnership that will start counting normally. But one important thing here is that if your partner is Czech, then it's the standard 5 years, whatever, as I explained now. If they are not Czech, then they will need to first get their PR themselves before you can get the PR. Like you can get the PR. Ma Irma, hello Jan, I sent you email 7 days ago. Please check if you have time. And I'm going to your office tomorrow to send some documents. Please email me what time you will be available tomorrow. Ma Irma, I'm sorry for the delay. One of my colleagues is now coming back from her sick leave and she'll take over your case. So I will speak with her tomorrow to get in touch with you and arrange all the steps with you. Explore EU. Hayan, can you please tell me the documents required for employer change? I don't have free access to labor market. I'm working under the current employer around 4 years. And I do have a new employer. Okay, I've done some videos about that, and on our website you can find an article about this topic as well. But generally, you need definitely the new job must have the vacancy number. That's like number one thing if you don't have the free access to the labor market. Second, you need to prove what is your status in the current job. So like either confirmation that you are still employed there, or that you've finished and when, or that you are in a leave-in period, whatever. So confirmation what's your status now. Then you need to have the new employment contract already. Then you need to fill in a form, and then your employer must fill in a form. And then there are a couple deadlines that you need to stick to. For example, your starting date in the new contract cannot be sooner than 30 days after you've delivered all the documents to the ministry. So let's say you delivered the documents to the ministry today. The starting date in your contract must be at least 18th of April. If it's less, then the change of employer will be denied. You also only have 60 days after you've left the previous job to go through this process. Otherwise, your employee card will be cancelled. There are plenty of rules like that, so might be best if you go through the article or through the video I did specifically about this topic. Arvinda, but Jan, in website they mentioned in purpose of stay section I need work permit or at least the case number of my work permit. No, my consultancy didn't give me a work permit. No, they're showing my lesser legalization order number and that they are trying to say vacancy number is the case number of my work permit, but I know it not, but how it looks I don't, please kindly help me. So we would need to arrange the consultation and go through that together to see if something can be done. But if it's the documents you sent me, I don't think there is much we'll be able to do, because all the documents you had seem to be for an employee card and not for a seasonal work. So anyway. Devendra, but the MOI sent me letter after 60 days, submitted my application, but now 1 month completed, still waiting letter for, so what we can do. I don't understand that. I believe you also texted us this before, but I don't understand what kind of letter the ministry sent you, and where did they send it, why did they send it, and how do you know that they sent it, who told you that? It's kind of, I don't understand the situation, because if you submit the application through an embassy, the ministry does not send you any letter. They only send you a letter if you're denied, but they send the letter to the embassy, and the embassy lets you know that you received a letter, and then you should go pick up the letter from the embassy where you applied for it. And then in the letter there are the denial reasons. But the wrong tracking number, I also don't understand how it is related to that. And yeah, so I think we would need to kind of arrange a consultation where we can like go through everything and I understand everything, because what you wrote does not really make sense in the way that I could reasonably advise about that. Nora, I'm pregnant. Congratulations. That's a weird thing to say in a chat of immigration questions. Anyway, Ahmed Hassan. Hello Jan, to renew student visa, does it need to have an appointment in the Ministry of Interior, or I can submit my documents directly once I prepare them? There are a couple things, guys. I understand. I understand that you're the foreigner here. You don't know how it works. You don't maybe understand exactly the differences between a visa and the residence permit and all that. But those are super crucial for me to give any advice, and also for your like stay in the Czech Republic. So one thing is, there is a very big difference between a visa and a residence permit. Okay? If you have just a visa and you want to extend the visa, or if you want to switch from a visa to a residence permit, you definitely must go to the Ministry of the Interior in person. If you're just trying to extend a residence permit, then you don't need to go to the ministry in person, and you can just mail all the documents and the application to them. And that's actually also what we prefer, because if we don't have to go to the ministry, we don't go. So that's one thing. Second thing is that like depends on if you're like a student or a student, because for students there is primarily the branch in Hladkov. That's a student branch of the MOI in Prague, at least. I don't know where do you study, but in Prague there is Hladkov. And as far as I know, you cannot go to Hladkov without an appointment. So if you want to go submit the application to Hladkov, you should book an appointment in advance. If you want to go without an appointment, you would need to go to a different branch of the ministry, which is responsible for the place where you live. And you can potentially go without an appointment, but then you should go there, depending on the branch, like 5 o'clock in the morning to be able to submit the application that day. So it's a bit more complicated question than it sounds. Brendan, so this will be the last 3 questions. Aussie's reviews. If it's the Aussie reviewing the things, I love you, man. The reviews are amazing. If it's not you, then I'll check check your channel, and it might still be good. But the original Aussie is amazing. Anyway, so Aussie will be the last question I will answer, because I have said 20 minutes. It's been almost 30. So Brendan, Pratik, and Aussies will be the last one. So Brendan, hi Jan, I have a study visa question. I presented my parents' proof of funds of about 1 million Czech crowns and the authenticated sponsor letter during my interview. Why did the consulate give me back the letters? She said she doesn't need this, and just wrote down how much money I had in my proof of funds. That's a question primarily for the embassy. Well, the thing is, with embassies is a bit complicated, because embassies do not make decisions about long-term visas or long-term residence permits. The decision is made by the Ministry of the Interior. So what the embassy thinks should not really matter, because they should follow whatever the Ministry of the Interior thinks, and they should follow the law. But it's not always like that. Sometimes embassies request some weird documents they should not request. Sometimes they don't take the documents they should take. So this is a question. Then also is a question if proving that you have enough funds in your parents' account will be enough, because you must have enough money and you also must be able to reach it. So if it's in your parents' bank account, you cannot reach it in the Czech Republic really, unless you have a debit card linked to their account. And in that case, you should present the debit card to the embassy as well. So I would not be just like much worried about it now, but you can hear from them later when the ministry reviews your documents, and maybe they will be missing something, or they will want some more explanation from you. Pratik, how much Czech embassy is open for Indian workers? Not sure if I understand the question completely or correctly, but there are quotas for how many people can apply for an employee card a year in India, and the quota is pretty low. It's like 1,500 people or something like that. But all these people must go through special programs. So if you're not in a special program, or your employer is not in a special program, there is a 0 quota. So no one can apply for an employee card. For a blue card, there are no limitations, no quotas. On the other hand, there are limited spots at the embassy, how many applications they can accept due to like capacity reasons. For seasonal work, there are also other rules, so it kind of depends on what you mean by worker. And now Aussie's reviews, is there some power of attorney to pick up employee card from MOI? If you got an employee card approved at the MOI, then you need to go there in person. First, the first step is like giving your fingerprints and everything, and that must be definitely done in person. You should also collect the card in person because they need to take your fingerprints again. They need to make sure that the system reads your fingerprints well. So I don't think anyone can pick up the employee card on your behalf. Going to the ministry sucks. I don't like it myself either, but unfortunately for the pickup, I think you will have to go there. Okay, guys, that's it. As I mentioned, this was the last question for today. 32 minutes is enough for me now. But I'll see you again Thursday, Monday, until the end of the world. Good night, guys. Happy to have you here and see you next time.